All right, good afternoon. This is a special called meeting of the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections. It's a work session. No decisions will be made at this meeting. Date is April 18th. The time is 3:07 p.m. And we are at 2555 Lexington Road, Athens, Georgia. First item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Okay. Was that you, Ms. Pembroke?
Yeah, but I have a question, but maybe they can wait.
Is your question about
Yeah.
adding or removing Madam
What
President?
about just go ahead and suspend the rules?
We're getting there.
Okay.
Did you still want a second, Ms. Till's
Yeah,
motion
yeah,
on adopt?
Yes.
All those in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, agenda is adopted. Next item on the agenda, well, the next, item on the agenda is incorrect. We are not having public comment, so I guess we could have amended, but whatever. We're not having public comment at this work session. So the next item is work session, and the chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules for the agenda item work session.
I so move.
Okay,
Second.
I'm taking notes for our secretary, so
Yeah.
bear with me here. Okay, I'll be the assistant superintendent.
Oh, okay.
So the motion on the table is to suspend the rules. We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, rules are suspended. The chair recognizes GIS department.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, or, yeah, why don't you guys just jump right in and then we can just.
So are we screen sharing not via WebEx then?
No, you can't screen share from there. Okay, based on, our conversation that we've had at the last meeting, and then emails since, I have used the existing polling locations, with along the proposed polling locations, but not including, the mall. Basically the list that was given to us in the email for us to use. And from there, what I did was we took the 2020 census blocks, which you're seeing up here, that have all the population information associated with them. And we created a centroid for those. So each of these points represents one of those census blocks. And then basically, we told it to tell us which polling location, or which of these points, what's the closest polling location to it. And so based on that, that's where we get our info for the revised precinct boundary map. So this is basically what it came up with.
So you were just explaining the methodology or the thinking, the way you arrived
Right.
at getting these, okay.
Yeah, basically, like I said, we put the center of each of these census blocks and asked it to find, to find the polling location that they were closest to. And so where you see this one right here, Cleveland Road Elementary School was the closest. Right here, the Cooperative Extension Office, right here, Timothy Road, Oglethorpe, etc.
Are there 16 locations there?
I believe there are 24.
There's 24.
I counted 16. I just can't see the others. We have 24 and I think it's still
But that's not relevant.
And the revised map, how many precincts do we have?
I'm sorry.
Well, it's one per location, correct? So
Right, so there's 24.
24, okay.
so it's the same number you have now. The difference being that they each are oriented.
Centrally located, maybe in the middle,
Yes,
somewhere in the
ma'am.
middle.
Yeah, not exactly the mathematical center, but pretty close.
Pretty much.
Close, pretty much.
A lot closer than what they are now.
The eyeball center.
What did y'all do with the cooperative extension area there? Because I
It's
know
right
it wasn't
here.
inside the city, it wasn't inside the precinct lines, so did you adjust the lines or something?
Yeah, all the lines have been
Is
adjusted.
there a way to overlay the old?
There is, hold on a second.
Yes, so we'll just have to add that to the map. Then this is as good a time as any to just refresh everybody's memory on the size of census blocks. They're pretty small, right? There's 1,800 of them countywide. They, just going off the top of my head, I think they average around 420 acres or so. So so when you take the mathematical centroid of a census block, you're getting a pretty good approximation of where that population is held. There may be some areas where the population is skewed to one corner or another of the block, but that's pretty rare. And I think it kind of all evens out when you use this method. And the other kind of good thing about this method is there are no gaps, right? Because you're using the census block boundaries. They're accepted boundaries. Census block boundaries were also used to create the district lines, which we haven't even gotten into yet. But just, Mr. Shirley's suggestion, Mr. Shirley's not here yet. Mr. Shirley's suggestion was to do a similar exercise, but to kind of, assign each individual address to the most centrally located polling location for that address. In terms of driving distance, the problem with that is you're gonna end up with a precinct that is very fragmented, right? Because just imagine like you're drawing a couple thousand lines to a point versus, whatever number of census blocks fall into these boundaries. Certainly no more than 50 or 60.
This question I have is a little premature, but the other tool you created us that we have online, can we put some of these layers online for the public to, so after we have this meeting, then we'll have some I forget what our timeline says, but just so the public can look at it before we vote on it and all that stuff.
Yeah, just allow folks to kind of explore, get comfortable, see what kind of numbers we're looking at. Absolutely.
Okay. Like kind of just what I'm asking for, like, will they be able to see, this is how it stands today, and they can kind of do that, like.
Or you can do it, there's a
There's
couple
like
ways,
that
you can do a
fader.
sliding thing, but you can also just put them side by side, and when you click on one on this side, it'll reflect it, what it is on the other
Okay.
side.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, there is a swipe.
Visual.
The swipe gets a little confusing for me.
Yeah, the swipe is fun, but it's not always.
And overlay gets confusing too. I think the simplest is side
Yeah.
by side.
So here you see, so the existing boundaries.
That's really good, I like that. So when we get ready to identify who those voters are, we'll be able to help us with that, right? Based on this information here.
Yes, once we end up with some locked in boundaries, it's a pretty easy process to kind of tell you who lives there.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, we did go on and put in for each of the proposed boundaries, the population.
Question. If I'm understanding this, what I'm looking at right now, that's not where polling places exist now?
No, it is.
Some are and some are not. Yeah, there are
There's,
a few that y'all proposed, that we'd have to just ensure that they were available. For instance, I think y'all, for our last meeting, we're gonna check into, for instance, the Village Baptist, the big church. So that's on here. And we don't know for sure whether we're able to
So
use it.
what we had looked at was changing about 4
Yes, ma'am.
polling places. Because I don't think it would be financially wise to just suddenly move all the polling places just to have them in the middle. I think that'd be quite expensive for
Yeah.
electrical and all other things that we need to do. So I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Yeah, so the ones that have changed, the extension, the aforementioned, church, there is the airport, which is new, and then in Winterville,
Possibility.
we're talking about moving from the train depot to I'll never get this right.
The community center.
Yeah,
Is there a way to like, highlight those maybe with different color?
sure.
Just-
Right on the floor.
Maybe
Not on the fly, but when we went on the web, well, maybe, you know, just.
This looks so much like a map of Europe. Got a little boot on the side.
I see Holland.
Now, if I may add, then once again, this may be a little too premature, but have you all tried to align these just to see how close they come to the district boundaries?
Well, they're aligned to the census blocks,
Right,
and the census blocks align to the commission district boundaries.
okay.
So, but there, we haven't performed an exercise, unless you have, Mary, I don't know. I haven't performed an exercise where we say, all right, now we want to make sure that we have 3 precincts in District 10, et cetera. We haven't done that per Mr. Shirley's instructions from earlier this week. And I didn't know whether or not, we feel that it's a good practice to align to the district boundaries, but I don't know if it's legally, required. Charlotte, I was hoping you might be able to.
It's not legally
I
required.
mean, it's not now, so
Yeah,
probably
It's
isn't.
not.
but it will, if you don't do it, it's gonna create a lot more combinations. And that's okay.
Those are the commission district boundaries.
So not bad.
I mean, you know,
And I'll add that you'll see there are a few islands here where there is some territory that is actually inside a larger polygon that is actually more proximal to a different voting location. And so we would probably clean those up. See, to the west of Timothy Road Elementary, for instance, there's like a little circle there, and then to the northwest of the extension.
Yeah, I like the idea of precinct so much that unless it was like a major issue for combinations, be very supportive of where we are.
It's a bit easier on the west and in the southeast corner where you have population centers, kind of where you would expect them to be. Versus kind of in the downtown area where it's a bit more fragmented.
Okay.
and like I was saying before, each one has population. That's looking at another speed. The voters of the,
So the voters pop up. So, okay, so you have eligible voters and then also the people who actually voted.
Do you know which one has the largest population? Which
And
precinct?
the 301.
But as far as what,
Voters.
Registered voters or?
Yeah, as far as voting population.
wonder,
But this also identifies voters who claim that they don't have
You are.
look at the 5 precincts and see if there's, you have one.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I think we're gonna see what the people- So Joseph, there is a small area in Winterville, 1A, that is, has no registered voters on it. Which could be that it's not residential. And it's running the combo of 301 and 301. I guess what I need to do is just sign in. I was gonna see what 301 equals to and see if that small portion could go into 1B, because 1B has a 301.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that's residential or not, if it's just property, like.
We can look at that, and like I said, there, some of those islands need to be cleaned up as well, this isn't, you know, it's not
Sorry, not
ready
looking
for intensive scrutiny, but it's certainly ready for some vetting.
There's a 301, they are ACC tenants.
Should be.
Yeah.
There's a possibility of moving those residents or the addresses.
For the turtle count.
Can those areas be isolated? Can those two areas be isolated?
The one.
The 301s and tennis center and in, Warnerville, within the Warnerville area and the tennis center?
So you have the combo in here as well. We're looking at, you know, we've got 2 different questions simmering. here.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for something and I can't
No,
find it, I don't know
go
why
ahead,
it's
go
not.
ahead.
Now, what are y'all looking for?
Now they're looking at combo 301. So combo 301 has got
Addresses later on.
one location that has maybe 3 households in it. And then.
Oh, you're talking about that?
In Winterville.
I don't know. If Dennis is another map.
You keep working on the population question.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I gotta get rid of some of this stuff.
You're doing a great job. We have no complaints.
Yeah.
Somebody snatch us up. They're just gonna break the computer system down and just unplug us. We'll be sitting with sad faces all over America.
We won't be able to go to your.
I'm telling you, you can't look at Netflix, you can't do nothing.
Yep.
So easy, we're moving that.
Life will be better. You go back to Blockbuster, read the newspaper.
I'm reading a book. Read a book.
What
Yeah.
power went out yesterday? I read a book. What else do you gonna do?
I'm going to the direct TV. To go check out a book from the library. I'm reading the books, not ready.
So, the precinct with Clark Central in it has got about 10,000. This is individual, I guess this is the individual voters, this isn't. The folks who voted. Whitehead Road,
Couple voters are regular.
9,300, Timothy Road,
300.
Oh, it's not voters.
right? And we looked at eligible voters. That they will come up and down there. That's what we're doing.
We shouldn't have been so efficient last year.
Whitehead. Whitehead Road. That's how many, the 6,000, that's how many voters? Eligible voters. That's a lot.
So in determining the size of these proposed precincts, how did we decide how many or how big to make precincts?
It wasn't based on the population, it was based on the census block boundaries. And then we created a point for each of the census block boundaries, and then based on the polling locations, we told it to tell us whatever the closest polling location is to that central boundary. And that's how it was defined.
So that's how many eligible voters are most proximal to Whitehead Road Elementary. And so if that's not gonna get it, then we're gonna have to, the easiest thing to do is look at the surrounding precincts, which, you know, you're not going to Oglethorpe, most likely. You're most likely not going to the extension. It's probably going to be Fleet or Cleveland Road, I'm guessing. But I'm not for sure. Maybe.
So another parameter to keep in mind is that precincts operate best under 4,000 voters per
Pretty
precinct.
well with what they got, but they don't have.
Get more than 4,000.
Well, Oglethorpe was already 5,000.
No, I mean, currently,
Yeah, so,
Oglethorpe Avenue is 2,800.
but that's drawn, you're rolling up on 5.
Is the as drawn the proposed or the?
Proposed.
Okay, that's the proposed.
Yep. So what is Cleveland Road, for instance?
So it's twice the size of what it currently is.
Right.
Because we moved.
So Cleveland Road, currently in the proposed, even though it's huge, you've got 1,000 voters assigned to it.
There's a lot of.
Cause a lot of land mass.
Yes.
Empty land.
Currently, they have 3,700.
Right, so you're gonna be moving that Whitehead Road line to
What's
the,
the extension? What's the extension?
so cooperative extension is about perfect. We don't wanna touch that.
Not long. Because when you get up to the port, you have to think about how much equipment has to be put into the building and the space that we have. And HB Stroud is our largest precinct, and it's a large cafeteria, right? It's cafeteria.
Or
Um,
a resource room.
Or the resource room, depending on the election, and we normally get between 12 and 18, I think 16 maybe is the most we've ever sent out. And couldn't do that within side cooperative extensions building, so you have to think about that kind of thing.
Capacity.
Well, I'll say that wasn't
I
a
know.
parameter that was given
I
to
know.
us, so this is a good starting place, but, yeah, there's certainly.
I mean, they're all around the,
Would you take some off Timothy Road Elementary
You would potentially take some off.
and then place them with cooperative extension?
But then cooperative extension gets even bigger, it was already at
Oh,
37.
Yeah, I
thought it
mean,
was- I thought it was 1,000.
Timothy has the potential to be bigger, there's more space.
Who is that has potential?
Like Timothy is a much larger space than the Unitarian or the cooperative. The same for Oglethorpe. I mean, they have that, I hear what you're saying with the line, but they have the larger.
Larger facility.
But you're also thinking about moving Oglethorpe to the church across the street.
Are they kicking us out?
We had one public comment on that, I haven't heard anything else, so.
The read, that's.
What's the most you wanna have at one?
Charlotte can weigh in, but I think the standard was 4,000 or less to
Yeah,
manage
remember,
times.
we're also talking about people that actually walk in and vote, and we're also looking at ballots. You know, people that early vote. and you consider
Yeah, we had
all
that
those
covered, and now I'm remembering that.
Yeah.
But the number of equipment we have to provide is based on how
The
many
number
voters are assigned to
of-
that precinct.
Yeah,
We can't reduce it depending on how
Yeah.
people already voted. We have to provide.
that's set in stone.
Yeah.
You have to have so much
Except
equipment.
it didn't pass. General election, you have to provide the 1 in 250. I know there was a bill that was introduced.
Well, if it did, it was only for the runoffs, right?
No. It was for,
Yeah, that didn't pass.
yeah, I think it was for all elections. You could go based on how many people had already voted.
Would've been lovely.
It would.
So maybe a worthwhile activity for the next 10 minutes or so might be to go through these individually and show you how many eligible voters are attributed to each of these proposed precincts. And maybe, Lisa, you could give us the,
So that gives us Cleveland Road with how many voters?
1,059.
So Cleveland Road went from 3,700 down to. Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah, a good many of those are now at cooperative extension.
Can we just, that's the thing, like, you want the lines to be good, and then we move the lines, and then it screws the other numbers up. Like, there's no perfect. I mean, that's the thing we have to decide. Do we want the lines to be pretty and match and equidistant, or do we want the right number of people at each precinct? Because then when we do that, then the lines are most likely not gonna be.
I think the numbers are more important. Like
I mean, some people want the lines and some people want the numbers, so.
for us to be in compliance, it's gonna have to be some shifting. But you could very easily run up a 4,000 just like that.
Yeah, and when y'all have the numbers there, that's eligible, so that's active and inactive, right? Okay, that's
Okay,
fine.
well, then that might be part of it, except for if the number dropped drastically.
Then we would place equipment according to the active total number of registered voters, not eligible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you wanna look at?
I think we just want to look at,
Because here's the active voters,
well,
772.
that's people who actually, people who voted in 2020, yeah.
Right.
Which you could have not voted in 2020 and still be an active voter.
That's very good.
Yeah.
For one more year, right?
No.
Is it good?
Well, I guess
It's good for
2020
the
was-
presidential election, isn't it?
It's two presidentials.
Two general elections.
Not too presidential.
It
So,
could be presidential and,
why we've got you here?
two GB.
So if that's 772, there could still be eligible voters for 2024, even though they did not vote in this cycle? Okay, so that's kind of like a false number then. Not really a false number, but it depends on what you're looking at it to match it up with, really, actually,
Right,
which gets a little complicated.
yeah.
Want to make that big money. Girl, I'll tell you, well, I'm going down to Macy's and do something real big with it. I'm gonna buy you some salt. I don't even think I can get salt in me.
Sorry, Macy's. is
I'm
closed.
sorry. Am I doing commercial for Macy's?
They blew it up, it's gone.
Maybe just stick with eligible, right? I mean, you think that's, eligible is probably the most telling number we can offer. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, that's fine.
Well,
Which is fine, but it doesn't matter.
so
Where do you want me to go?
So Cleveland Road needs more voters. We can, I think. Pretty definitively.
Oh,
Whitehead needs fewer voters. I'm guessing we're gonna say, yeah. 67, 88 is what we're at now.
Our average precinct now is about 2,400.
Don't we have a sheet last time that had all those numbers?
yeah, last week,
I thought,
last week.
is it
The
that one?
material we got last week, maybe, told the location.
Oh, good. This one with the blue lines from the
Yeah.
first one.
Shows the voter turnout and percentages.
So, I mean, HB Stroud was 5,400. Mall was 4,000. Fire Station 7 was 4,000.
Almost 4,000, is that the eligible voter number?
I don't know, Renee, did you make this? Somebody. I don't,
No.
I think Adam,
I didn't.
Adam made that.
Adam made this?
no. I think I need one. For me, we can't. There it is.
For it.
I mean, I'm just saying things, but I think that would be the case, right? I mean, that's what it seems to me.
I know, I'm trying to get everything. Yeah, I think we'll know everything.
No, I think
If we shift that down to eligible.
in the perfect world, that would be true.
Get that, we don't have that.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah,
But I think the numbers matter to them, because you can't have 100 people in this district, and 6,000 on that district. So I don't really understand what the lines mean so much.
That'd probably look okay.
well, the
because
lines
you
indicate
got,
which,
I mean, that whole
place
Timothy
you're
corridor,
assigned
you got the
to.
UU church, which can use
You have to
people.
have those lines the
And
way
then,
they are.
so you go,
That's what I was thinking,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
They don't necessarily have to be there, but what they did was they took each census block. Mary, would you mind putting those census block dots up again?
It's gonna probably choke on those a little bit, but
But anyway, they took the census block, found the center of it, and then told the program,
Work around this.
told the program, what's the closest
Government, school, or whatever.
spot, polling locations that we already have or that we're moving, such as,
Presently, yeah,
cooperative.
presently using, or what,
and then that's how these lines were
drawn up
drawn.
within the census blocks. So we don't have to use the census block, but we used it for this purpose.
I would assume,
Right.
so.
yeah, I mean, we can,
Otherwise,
It was just easy to go with the census block.
it's just a set of
if
data
it's
that,
not working for us, what else can we use? What are our real restrictions? Because I heard someone mention we can't cross rivers or railroads or something like that.
Land
What is that?
You can use those as boundaries.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we can't use them in boundary.
And so that's another kind of point in favor of the census block, because that's how they're drawn.
That's how they're drawn. Yeah, now that makes sense.
Right, so we don't have to use them, but it makes the most sense
Sense.
to use them because it's a set of data that's already built.
It also kind of is a guardrail, if you will, to keep you from, for instance,
Oh.
dividing neighborhoods.
Overspreading or pushing
Yeah.
a next door neighbor away from.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there are some situations like Cedar Creek,
That-
for instance, there, that falls into, I think, 3 different census blocks. And so, you know, some of those big subdivisions, they take up multiple blocks, so you are gonna have some
Some
situations.
that are like that.
But you're gonna have a lot more if you go by just addresses.
Yeah. And in that, as we look at corporate extension and, the school, can we make a shift from corporate extension on where the boundaries are, where the census block boundaries are, and move people past the lines and redraw the lines?
Yes. So,
So you're good.
Can you say that again, please? Sorry.
Okay, so where you have corporate extension and then you have the school,
Which,
see,
Timothy.
the upper, I'm sorry, is that Timothy down there?
this is Timothy, the other one's Cleveland Road.
Okay, blue, and I'm looking at blue in a light line down at the bottom corner over here to my left.
Yep.
Looking at those two, if those are those, enumerations on there, if those are people or supposedly houses or whatever, couldn't we move some that's on that side of, somewhere where the boundary is and try to push in some people from there to, the school? Not, what's the school out in the country,
Cleveland.
Clifford Road, yeah.
yes,
Could we do it like that?
yes,
Is that legal?
sure. So for instance, you see kind of that southwesterly border of the blue, so Cleveland Road is in the blue. Yep, there you go. See all those in pink, all those dots represent the centroid of a
Yeah.
census block. Or no, those are actual
These
addresses.
are- Yeah.
The pointer is working for me, guys. I'm 74 years old. I'm kind of, I'm seeing the map, but a little pointing would help me. Thank you.
Yeah, if like, if you're talking about these are the,
I just want, I can see the pointer.
Use the finger, use the finger.
Yeah, use
so I think what you're talking about is like,
If we
these are
put this
all
line
voters.
to
And
here,
so if you wanted to, you could draw a line.
You can draw a line and push more people over into that
Right.
district.
So
I mean,
then
into
you're
that-
reducing the number in Timothy.
Uh-huh.
And then the UU church over here, it has about 2,100 or so eligible voters.
Mhm.
And
I think that's what I was asking, is do we have to stick to the lines? I mean, we need to make the numbers work, because if the lines are perfect, but the numbers are way out, that's just not gonna work.
well,
So if we can move lines like you're suggesting, take that little slice and move it into that lesser area, that's what we need to do.
Well, all of these little lines in here are blocks, or census blocks. And so it's just that these census blocks
Mhm.
were closest to this, but you can definitely take like,
Right
okay,
there,
this census
right,
block.
just above right there where you are, that
Or you
long,
could
that
take
long
this one
block,
right
yeah.
here and add it to it,
That
but you'd
over.
still
Yeah.
use this, this
Mhm.
census block boundary.
Yeah.
Yes, Mary, that's what we need to do.
And see, I was saying take some from Timothy, put into Cleveland and then shift some back, I mean, into
right.
cooperative and then shift some back into Cleveland.
Yes.
So then the next assignment would be to see if using these as the starting point, now kind of shift them and balance them so that you don't have the huge, 7,000 people in one
Yeah.
and 1,000 in another. Kind of balance them
Yeah.
out a little bit.
Yeah.
So it may not be the closest
Quickest.
polling place anymore,
Right.
but it's gonna be close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're still
Especially-
close,
It's, yeah.
but it'll be more equal.
And most people
as far as
driving another half a mile or so shouldn't be a big deal.
And that's the thing, that's a good point. Like, we looked at what's in a 5-minute drive. And it's most of the county, from
Yeah.
most of the county, within a 5-minute drive.
We can go from there to
of
there.
And I'll make this comment, and y'all tell me if I'm off base, but the people that live in those areas, they don't have problem with transportation.
Right.
So,
You're car dependent out there, I mean, you go.
most people out there have cars, so, you know, they're gonna use their cars. Whereas that might not be the case in some neighborhoods.
Right.
I mean, I'd definitely say take this. And possibly this.
That one right
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
And shift those people or numbers over there and redraw the lines.
But if we can
Yeah.
go back to, if you don't mind indulging me for a minute.
Okay.
If we can go back to who's cutting versus who's bulking, I think that would help us tremendously to be able to say, all right, we know, for instance, is the cooperative extension good where it's at, or do we need to trim around the
Yeah.
border a
So-
little bit?
yeah, let's do that. And then I think we're all saying the same thing here.
We are.
Yeah, because the lines are based on a formula. They gave the map. And it's not perfect, so us humans are more perfect, right? So
Yeah.
So
can we make like a little spreadsheet or something? We just put the names and we can just put add, subtract, okay?
That's
or-
kind of what we have here.
Oh,
we've got it, but it's,
You're
yeah,
ahead of
But you
us.
can't read it.
a little messier than.
I was just gonna do it. Excel, but.
So Cleveland Road has about 1059, so we can agree that needs to go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whitehead's got 6788, that needs to come down.
Yeah.
Cooperative Extension, 3911.
Perfect.
I mean,
It's
that's
between
pushing
the
it, because of
three
the size of the room, that's
Yeah.
pushing it.
and, you know, as much,
To last, let's leave it to last.
So this one is ACC what? The transit? What is that?
No, we missed the proper.
why
That's
don't we
extension.
just like cut that part of the map where Tennessee,
Let's just
cooperative
go left and
extension
right. It's fleet management.
and the school,
No, please up there.
take that area
Oh,
and,
please, you
and
got
sequester
twice.
it away from the rest of it, then work with those three.
Same number.
Yep. So Fleet's at 1988.
Fleet is
That's
small,
the-
they don't overload.
Well, Fleet
Are they-
currently is at 29. That's a little too much for them. So
They-
They might be.
I feel like we got
They're
three
challenged,
different sets of numbers here.
they're challenged now.
This is, the numbers I'm giving are proposed, like as drawn up
As
here.
drawn up
Oh,
here.
so it's drawn
What
up.
Lisa's saying is, we're actually cutting 1,000 off of what Fleet's handling right now.
You're taking 1,000
So
away.
what is your proposed fleet? Just so I'm understanding.
1988.
It's at 29 right now, but it's pushed for space, so.
Okay, so
Yeah.
leave it.
So leave it.
Go, Joe,
This is
go.
why we need a spreadsheet,
Okay.
not a paper.
Oglethorpe, 4669, that's gotta come down.
Yeah, because currently Oglethorpe is at 28.
Is that with the combination of Fire Station 7?
No, if we,
Because that's what happened last time. Well, it didn't happen, but
so then somebody add 28, 27 plus 15, 38. That's what it would be.
27.
Adam, what's the number?
Not now.
4515, so.
That's too big. I mean, that's even just putting those two together the way they are, that's too big. Because that's actual active voters, which is what we have to work with.
Timothy is at 5779.
Timothy is 2951, so it needs to come down.
Okay.
Unitarian.
Unitarian Church, 2086.
It's at 2654 right now, so it can go up some.
Chase Street, 2965.
Parking is a problem. And that's with the
Yeah.
proposal of moving those two together.
Chase is only
Charlotte.
1,800, what'd you say?
Good question.
2965. We talked about putting,
Is there a way to look at places like Macon Bibb or similar density type things as to how big their polling place is? Is the whole state of similar density and population around this number? Obviously, the middle of nowhere, they're gonna have like 20 people.
Well, they have many fewer polling.
Right.
Yes, and a lot of them have like mega polling places,
Places.
locations, and have gone down, for instance,
They-
Jackson County, I forgot, they have 4 in that big county. So
They're large,
everybody's different,
Okay.
and it's based on their needs.
And it's based on the voter, the active voters,
Yes.
which
Okay.
But
you
they
think in terms, yeah.
I'm gonna throw this
In
crazy
terms of
idea.
population, because Macon got more population than we do. And you have to think about the fact that Athens ain't got that much land mass, so we are compacted more than other cities
Yes,
in the state of Georgia.
very different,
Yeah, we are unique, really.
yes.
I understand that,
We did,
but
we
I'm
did.
just trying to see what other counties are doing. But
Yeah.
they do it differently, there's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
no. But anyway, for example, given the example you just said for Jackson, what if,
We got rid of really.
completely what if, so don't everyone react crazy?
Right,
Classic Center was a mega,
right.
and we got rid of Lake Park and we got rid of this and, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, are those things we can consider? I mean, this is a work session, so anything's out on the table, I mean, but,
If you got mega money,
Yeah, it would
we
come
can
with
do
cost.
it.
well, yeah.
You know,
And not just the cost that we normally spend for election day.
So like, is State Farm Arena in Fulton like just an early voting site, or do they have like mega places on election day?
I think they have a couple mega places, but not like at State Farm. That is used for events though.
Okay.
Would it be better for us just to go, let's get through it first and then see where we are, say up, down, and then we can.
Yes,
Where we're
back to
going.
Joe.
What's your next?
So Chase 2965, you think that's gotta come down, okay?
A little.
Right.
There's space in the building, but there's not that much parking. There's parking, but not for that many.
the building is huge. The inside is huge, but the parking, not so much.
Park Central 4083,
That doubles, it's to 24/7 now. That's not gonna work there in that lobby. That's definitely gotta come down.
Library 3552.
Okay, that's probably, that's okay. They're at
Library could
27.
go,
They're at 2753 right now.
library could probably take some from Clark Central.
Yeah.
And close proximity.
Memorial Park 3290.
That's about where they are now. They're at 31. So that's,
Okay. This is what, JJ Harris, 3722.
that's
got it.
down from 3974.
They got a huge place over there. That place is huge. The parking is kind of unlimited.
Winterville Community, whatever it's called, 1846. So it'd be,
They had 27.
okay, so that couldn't,
That could go up.
and then the airport 1970.
1915.
The parking at Winterville is not good at the train station. I've tried to vote out there, but because of proximity, it's just useless for me to go out there. But whenever I did go out there,
Yes, it's
the train station, the little parking that they got, because people actually do vote out there. And, I might have to ride around a couple of times, 3 times, just to get, cause you know that parking is just when you make that turn forward, and then there's a street in front of that parking on both sides, but you like, okay, when's somebody coming out of there so I can park?
Right,
Park in the church's parking lot, church parking lot.
okay. But the community center,
But we are having no visit to.
yeah, okay. More parking,
More parking.
okay.
Is that the one
That's a
the
place there.
board is on, you guys,
So
or
games.
you out there or what?
Do you want to go with us to our initial walkthroughs?
I really do, because I think that will give us more understanding of what we are actually working with. For me, it's helpful, you know.
Okay, we have a couple scheduled. Both of them are on
May the second.
May the 2nd. One at 10
One at noon and.
noon and at 1:30.
1:30.
I nominate Ms. Till and Ms. Fambro as our
That's fine.
site selection coordinators.
What do you have for games?
Can we get her a clipboard and a reflective vest?
49.4.
So this is at 4657, gotta come down.
That's the church.
And then Cedar is 2486.
That adds an additional 400 there, which
Would be 130. Okay.
Here's that one.
Cedar,
That could stay where it is, where it is.
I think that'd be fine.
Is
Cedar Shoals?
it?
No.
No.
I mean, we're full with equipment, but I don't know that
That
400
quarter is gonna
people,
push them over to have, well,
maybe one, like, more being used.
Station 7, 3348.
Great, thank you.
3348. So fire station 7, was that as proposed, we're gonna go to UGA? The UGA,
UGA wasn't listed as one of them, that was.
I have a friend who works there. She said there's really no space in that building to do
they
it.
were offering some buildings off to the side.
Oh, really?
I don't have any
It might be
that was
better.
listed in the email.
Well, it's right behind the barn and Shoals part, so I think it's gonna turn out to be about the same.
Okay.
How you feel?
That was asking. Excellent.
Yes.
So currently it's 3256. If we stayed in the fire station, it's not doable to add more to that. But we're looking to move to the UGA beds,
Okay.
so that would be fine.
On the school side or the hospital side?
She didn't say. She just, I don't know enough about the property. She just said it's separate.
Try to be on the school side and not the.
They have concerns about access to the animals and voters crossing paths with the animals and stuff.
Barnett Shoals, 2253.
That's perfect. It's at 2209 right now.
Whit Davis,
Uh,
2137.
Oh, you're doubling it. That might be a little large.
With
It's a
Davis,
big building, but still 4,600 if we could get under the 4.
I mean, that's a
I
big
mean,
facility.
yeah, and parking, I don't think is a huge issue either.
I mean, I think that's something to consider. 'Cause the numbers are nice to be at that certain sweet spot, but if it's got a big gym and parking, then,
It's a little more than we might be okay.
but I mean, if you're trying to jam 2,000 more in the cooperative extension, well,
Right.
or
gotta
whatever.
put them somewhere and that looks like a good place.
Yeah, that one, I'm not as,
I'm not real familiar with the,
I mean, they're already pretty busy.
yeah, I'm not familiar with which building they're using at the,
Would it be okay
with
for us
Davis.
Their gym.
Okay,
Go
so
through
where's
these
the
first
gym
before we
located?
start?
Is it,
Yeah, what's talking?
is it the parents
Center,
pick up in the morning drop off? Or is it on the other side?
3479.
In the back.
So
It's
come
in the
up.
back,
You can come up a
Little
little.
parking lot.
Okay.
Where?
Tennis center.
on the side.
What?
Yeah.
Back there.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Tennis center, say tennis center one more time.
3183.
No, it's gonna go down. Okay, a little bit. So that's good.
Village Avenue Baptist, 38.
That would be 7C. And, okay, so that's taking the place of the fire station and currently they have 2257.
So that's gotta probably come down a little bit.
It might be okay. We haven't gone out to Millage to see what the room looks like that they want to give us.
Fire station number 7. Is it that one?
We got that, 3348.
When it shows elementary, what was that one?
2253, that's.
About the same.
Same.
I didn't hear Howard B. Stroud, did I?
What you got, Lisa?
Howard B. Stroud's 4486. That's our largest precinct.
Yeah, we have 3555.
The capacity at Howard B. Stroud is unlimited, well, it's not unlimited, but it's pretty large. It's kind of, it's really a better, J.J. Harris is a better, as far as space goes than Howard B. Stroud, but it's a nice spot. And I think the place that they showed us, rather than the cafeteria, the media center, it looks like it would be good, cause it's got a back door entrance where you don't come in contact with the school kids.
Yeah. What's your next one?
That's it. So we got 9 okays. And five, six we can bump up a little bit and then. So 9 have to go on the diet.
Does that seem to be a challenge that, once, okay.
No, it's just gonna take a little bit. So, yeah, so Whitehead, Cooperative Extension, Oglethorpe, Timothy, Chase, Clark Central's gotta come down a little bit. Gaines, with Davis. That's it. Okay. That was, thank you all for your patience with that, that was.
Adam is 2 minutes away, so if we could stall before we start really moving so he can see this, or is it not a real-time task we can?
No, it's not really, no, you don't want us to do it real time, I don't think. But what we can do is, well, depends on how you want to use this time. What we can do is look for some pockets of population that logically lend themselves well to being appended to something else. These are still addresses or these,
These are eligible voters,
okay.
for their addresses. I mean, definitely this. Definitely that.
Well, is that Cleveland Road right there?
This is Cleveland Road.
What's this main strip right there? That's like from that line all the way. Yeah.
Like a highway?
So wouldn't it be easier if you took the Atlanta Highway and that way you're not dividing anything?
What do you mean, take this,
Yes,
make it all?
yes. That way you're not dividing any residents. Looks like it anyway. Looks like it's probably all retail.
And I mean, you could, I mean, Atlanta is great. Where else do we need to get rid of things?
So
Cooperative extension.
the extension needs to come down a bit, yeah.
Well, we changed everything, you messed it.
So you could,
That's my mid. It was, I had 2 for me, but you can have it.
oh, business in here.
Yes, I've been working.
I don't know why you,
It's not your money.
so you could take all of this.
Everybody
and add it to the table.
Am I taking you?
The cooperative extension is forming the mall, right?
Right, and I was just saying, you know, you could take all of this down to,
A cook dinner for you.
this is Atlanta Highway.
I've heard that.
Where is Huntington Road, that big subdivision, across from the mall, the Huntington Road subdivision? Where is that located?
We'll get a plan on it.
For the Cleveland.
It's not, it's at the mall.
So that big
The
empty right
street
there.
at the mall.
I'll bring it.
Okay, so here's cooperative extensions, they're probably over in here, all of this.
There's,
I mean, why can't you?
there's a huge subdivision back in there. And
Probably
there are
here.
some apartments. The subdivision is on the right, and to the left, they've got some apartments.
Well, this is the mall,
However.
Where's the mall? Right
it's
there?
right here.
So there's.
You know where the street that goes across Atlanta Highway and where the,
I think it's that light
where
brown.
Walmart used to be? The street
Yeah.
that goes from Walmart all the way across Atlanta Highway, where you're going to the mall entrance on the J.C. Penney side. The street, if you branch out to the left to, the mall,
Basically.
if you keep going straight on that street, there's a huge subdivision and other homes on the left. But, and it's Huntington Road and what else, Huntington Circle. I can't identify without the street, yeah. It's basically on the same side as Honey Baked Ham and, what is all that? The Carpet Place.
That's all in here. That's all of this,
Okay.
You're smart.
because this is Atlanta Highway,
Okay.
and this is the mall.
Yeah, so yes, she's right, it's there, because that's the entrance to the mall, right off Loop 10, where you exit off of Loop 10.
Yep.
And that to the right and behind the mall to the left. I've never driven completely down in there, but it's populated, very populated. And I would imagine that there are a lot of people that are registered voters that are participating in the system. Can those three be isolated? Can those three precincts be isolated from the rest of the map?
I would need to turn them off. Is that what you're asking?
I don't know, whatever would isolate them, because then we would get away from everything else. You know, we would have those three to look at, because the shifts are going to have to be made within those three areas. Which I don't know whether it will make it simpler or not.
What is it, cooperative extension, Cleveland Road? So which three are you wanting to look at? Cleveland Road, cooperative
Cleveland Road,
extension, and Timothy?
And Timothy. Because I think those three do intersect.
You just highlight on the table.
Okay.
Wow, dude, I mean, some of them are like 4,000.
Which one do you see?
Lisa, can you explain to him? Sorry, what's,
The number of active voters in a precinct determines how much equipment you're in. Our law has to say.
Oh, we're missing another one.
It's one voting booth per every 250 voters.
And that then comes back to the space of the place, and I said, thank you. I didn't know.
yeah, so some of them could handle an increase, whereas.
Others
I see, thank you. Yep. Thank you.
3010.
So it's at 2763 right now, so we can go up.
Yeah, you can go up on that one, because they use the gym, they got tons of space and. It's one more. Did you guys see that on there?
Absolutely.
Actually,
I sent you number 4. Which I think is change one the overflow, right?
yeah,
Fire station number 4.
yeah, so we don't have fire station 4 on here, right? 'Cause that got incorporated in the level four. So really, we may only have 23 precincts, is that true?
That was correct.
23.
We had consolidated, we were floating that in the idea of consolidating, right? Wasn't it Overgrove Avenue with,
So then I make a change.
sorry to jump in.
24.
That was the idea.
Number 24.
We have multimodal in there still. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
On there.
So what is the number for multimodal? Because then that'll just go, yeah, that'll go right to the airport. This is impact on 40, gosh. Okay,
That didn't work.
well, plus it's gone over to the airport, so.
Yes, and there's room for that, parking and everything, right?
6,000 only?
It's not room for
Right.
6,000.
Sure.
I mean, the problem you run into with the community room is electrical capacity, which they're saying they're not sure they can accommodate much more than what they already have.
The airport?
The community room currently only has like 2 outlets in it.
Don't we use
Kind of
it
whole,
more in?
with a breaker in the thing.
Yeah, it's all over. Hard.
Minute for electricity.
Plain, I imagine they got some pretty strict rules out there, I'm sure. With their engagement situations like they are these days.
They need a better electrician, is what they need. Hank, you're awfully quiet over there.
Well, I think this is not going to increase or decrease the number of people who are voting. So I feel like what we're doing is the right thing, you know, the staff
it
is going to
doesn't-
tell us what is working, what needs to be increased or decreased, and that's not something I feel we can make much of.
We don't have any control over that,
Yeah, exactly.
on that part. Take the whole bucket.
Right. Get up no more.
One Starburst.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Could you send us a memo on May 2nd? Sometime maybe around, sometime on the 25th of the month. Thank you so much.
How many more days you got? Adam?
Till school's out, May 26th.
So you're not making strokes on the line?
Not yet, no. We got our state tests start next week, so that's the
Wow.
next. I can't see past the singularity, but once the state test is over, then it'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah, saw this. Isn't that cool? Ooh. So things, so that is closer to. Weird.
I can see that one.
Interesting.
What? I couldn't see mine, I have my little light going.
Oh, really?
That's just a good laser.
It whipped it out of his teacher pocket. What else comes out of there?
Right. Interesting. Interesting.
So I just got a response from
Mhm.
Dan. Oh, yeah, I made, yeah. So I think.
What?
Please.
I have questions, but I keep waiting for.
The rules are just shown.
Did we, and I'm sorry for being late, y'all, did we get a chance to pinpoint, Hank, is the problem that we have, and I'm sorry for being late, is the problem that we have certain theoretical precincts that now have way too many people that would be voting at a polling place? Is that where we're at now? Is that kind of, it's like, is it all of them, some of them, three of them, like? Is it-
It's a mixed bag. Some are too many, some are too little, and about 9, I said they were okay, about 9 of them were okay.
I got you.
6
So-
need a bump up and 9 need more than that.
Thank you. 6 need to go.
That's per our director.
9 need
Good, yeah.
So 6 need to go up, 9 need to go on a diet, and the rest of them are okay the way they were?
9, okay. Mhm.
6 of them get cheeseburgers. 9 of
The
them
others
get
get Happy Meals.
tofu,
Right.
Tofu and,
Get the
Spanish
same-
lady.
So
kale.
I guess then, since I was kind of the one that put us down this rabbit hole, is it something that, like, what do y'all think? Is this something that, this could be addressed, right? Like, we could then smush and nip and tuck. What?
Just let us.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rocky said that we were just kind of paused. I didn't know there was something happening.
Mr. D'Angelo is working on it
Oh,
now.
I didn't know, I'm sorry.
You can
I'm sorry.
chew gum
I
and walk at the same
No, no,
time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Y'all go ahead, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't know we're in the middle of something. I'm so sorry. I heard there was
Oh,
nothing happening.
no, Adam, go ahead. I can just put it in the bag.
So I didn't know if you'll catch me up. Is that what we're waiting on now? And what's the next step? Do we want to, I'll be the first to say, if this is too much, too crazy, we can back up and just.
We back and forth between what we have, what we need, what we can do. what we
Okay.
Yeah.
to update you. So Mr. D'Angelo has the weight and the gain and loss, and he's working on that now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Mary's gonna put that up.
So I don't want you to worry
Right
about
now.
it.
Okay,
Great.
so
I just didn't
Ooh, a
want to.
spreadsheet.
I just didn't want to think about whether we should, okay.
We're not
Thank
just
you.
eating candy.
I didn't say it.
I'm just snacking.
Okay.
So, yes, as Ms. Tillell mentioned, there are about a half dozen that we can add to. I realize there's an extra end in Bend, but that yellow block in the middle, 9 or so, I guess, we're gonna try to leave them alone as proposed, if we can.
Okay.
And then there's the rest. So 17 through 24 are gonna have to get shaved down a bit. And then multimodal, is currently in the mix and has to go away. So those 4,280 eligible voters are gonna have to get appended to something. And you can see at the top that there's not a lot of room to do that. Perhaps, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we're gonna put those folks, because you can see the airport is okay as is, you know, which would be aforementioned challenges, would be, you know, one outlet with a power strip hanging from it, I guess. So, you know, on the east side, you got, I guess you got the tennis center. We probably don't want to do too much, yeah. She's shaking her head at that, so, that's gonna be tough.
Is it possible that we could have where we need more room, but we don't have more room, that we have another polling location in that?
Yes, ma'am, but, yeah, you remember we were a little tight on polling, proposed polling locations over there, so I don't know.
Can you make it bigger? I'm like,
Just make the font bigger, I guess.
or just do the little zoom there at the bottom. Can't see.
Do we really want to reduce Chase? Or would Chase
Chase
be
is
okay?
currently at 1813.
And we were gonna combine Chase?
I don't think
So,
so.
they just, they got plenty of space, but the parking is
There we
kind of,
Thank you.
you know, I think we have a lot of them voted early.
Would you be good with changing Chase to okay?
Remember that?
And that's about 1,100 voters,
Okay.
which the gym could take the hit, but parking is abysmal.
Gotcha.
It's gonna add 1,000.
It's,
so,
but maybe 18 parking spaces over there?
Yeah.
You know,
What about the parking? I mean, I live over there
oh,
and I've never had,
The
I mean,
parking,
usually I walk in and I walk out.
right, okay, so the parking in front of the gym
there's a lot of
is,
blockers, though, I've observed.
I was gonna say that, and you got people who are voting early, so the main thing to focus on for Chase would be space for equipment based on the number that we would have.
Right.
Cause they vote
So-
early.
Right, so would we
But
be
that's
okay with
doable.
adding to Chase? Because
yeah,
I'm looking at, Clark Central, could Clark Central, some of Clark Central go to Chase? I mean, it borders, looks like,
And some of Clark Central go to the library.
or the library.
Yeah, it would be, the
Depends.
library would be more, it would be closer to where people
Well, it
are
depends.
voting now. And if we can keep them, people don't mind moving, but they don't wanna move 30 miles away.
Well, it just depends what side of the precinct they're on, if
Yeah.
it's necessarily closer to the library versus, I mean, you have to look where the line is, like, if they're here, we're moving them to there versus here, we're moving them to there, see what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
You could take some off of,
I thought, I said,
yeah.
Well,
Yeah. See what that would look like, taking some from Clark Central and putting it either at the library based on where they live versus Chase. It's probably gonna be more on the library, but. Chase.
and my thing is, wherever those people are, the people that are voting at Clark Central now, wherever they have been coming from to get to Clark Central, they won't mind going a quarter of a mile or a third of a mile down the street to go to the library.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think that's true, but we're gonna get people that, will you move me? I voted here for 30 years and now you're moving me and I'm very mad. I mean, we're.
It's right across the road over there. Fresh air. You know? You can walk.
Yeah, and then they're not Cause you were talking about from Clark Central to the library, then they're not dealing with students, they're not dealing with the school, they're not dealing with buses.
Exactly. It's a win-win for them. They not.
And that would be way I would respond. Yeah, that was what, look, you're not having to
Give
do
them all,
that
give
now.
them all perks.
Yes.
Yeah, cause you know, they come, we thought about, then they come with the negative, negative remarks, but
Yeah.
there's always the good stuff, the
Right.
sunshine in there. And just be prepared to give it to them.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good walk too, if somebody wanted to.
Go just, you know, Clark Central, walk down there, cause that's probably what I would do.
The precincts that you're gonna try and reduce from are not going to be necessarily adjacent to the ones you're trying to add. So you may have to bring in those other ones in the mix and take away and.
So, yeah, so in the case of, like, again, going back to the east side,
Yeah.
you're really, you may want to consider another polling location over there,
Adding one to that area?
Which
I
area?
was thinking that
but in the,
on the east side.
ideally, the area of either the tennis center or.
Mary Moore.
Now, I have an idea. There's a library being built in the next couple of years, and that's a ways away. But it occurs to me, and I don't know, I keep asking this WASP office if they're about to release the short list of where it might be. Won't like that be a beautiful, it has to be a beautiful location, right? That library would be great. I don't know if it's gonna be east side here or like east side over here. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's East Athens and then there's the east side.
What's that?
There's East Athens and then there's
Right.
the east side,
And I,
which are,
right, and I'm not educated enough to know the difference. So I don't know where the library is gonna be, but that'll be.
it's gonna be on the east side. I know one of the sites.
Say again, Lil, I'm sorry, Lil.
I said, one of the sites is gonna be somewhere on the east side, like East Lexington Road or somewhere like that.
Okay.
Or somewhere from where Gaines School
That
is.
won't solve things now, but I'm just saying like, down the road.
That's where I think it is.
I think it is where you think it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
What were the other wrong?
Yeah, so that is.
Yeah.
kind of- Can
Yes.
cut a block off.
Yes.
Yeah, what, so hypothetically making Mary Moore a election day location, how much does that shift that general area around?
You
I was
can
thinking
shift a
it
pretty
was
good
there.
chunk,
That's good.
yeah.
That's
Very,
good.
very good.
So you can say,
Yeah.
That's good.
so cool to me, that right there, that other guy. So these people vote over here, these people vote over here. That's so weird.
Wow.
why?
You know what it is, the map saying, the map is saying that is considered over there. Because this whole block or whatever, maybe this,
Wow.
What-
Voters.
What do you, where
Taking
is that?
from multi-vote.
I'm just saying this, and this might be a weird artifact of the map, but like this is the same color as this right here, which.
So I think we may have covered that before you came in, but there are some islands, some census blocks that are more proximal to one location than another that kind of have been subsumed by the surrounding area. And so, yeah,
Thank you.
those are kind of easy gets. And I don't know how many are in that block, but
Thank you.
yeah. And if y'all promise, not y'all and viewers at home, promise not to tell anybody about these locations. I'm just gonna put them up. I feel conflicted about this, but
We got you back.
What are you doing before you do it?
these are some potential, these may change the next couple of days. These are potential libraries.
Libraries.
So,
Well, what about
Keep
Mary
it on
Moore?
the low.
Right.
Or the community center what's the name of the community?
I mean, it wouldn't,
No, you know, they got a cluster of buildings there, guys. They got the dance center over there. They got Miriam Moore, they got the gym over there. So within that Miriam Moore, space over there, they got at least 2 to 3 places that maybe perhaps it could be held.
Boy,
8, 7, and 8 would solve. I'm sorry.
two could even.
Anyway, this is still 2, 3 years away by the time.
This whole has been talking about Mary Moore for years,
Well,
and I think
The best thing about the area is it's all for Loop 10. Drop off, vote, and go home.
Well, I mean, it
go
would
back to
take
work,
the people in their neighborhood to
Yes.
be able to walk there.
Yeah,
I mean, for early voting,
Yeah,
that's correct.
because that,
But if it was election day,
Mhm.
then the folks that live in that area can walk to it.
And already.
If they don't have a car.
It's been done,
Done.
you know.
yeah, so you're not gonna have that expense.
We like for our precincts that are advanced voting to also be
Right.
election day. It's just less movement, you know?
Okay. So what is the straw poll feeling on Miriam Moore? Adding that in on the board, amongst the board?
I feel good about it because of actually the strategical place where it's located.
I do too.
I'd like to know why not, like, why has it, there's probably a good reason why it has not been before now, or no, it was just so recently added as a.
It was so recently added as an early voting place.
Now,
What?
does anyone have any opposition to this, generally speaking?
I don't know a for or against for it, I'm listening.
Well, my next question is, how much does that take off from the library or Chase or, you know, the surrounding areas that are kind of out of balance?
Well, it's close to a whole lot of folks that now going to Winterville. And it's, close to Howard B. Stroud, it's close to J.J. Harris. So if you need some relief, that would be a place within that East Athens, area, you know, to make, if you need to make any adjustments on that end, that would be a good place.
So Stroud, Harris, and Winterville all were currently either okay or had room to grow. So that doesn't make me against it, but it wouldn't solve the current problems that we're having.
Well, what it would solve is it would take
And-
off of our plate the 4,200.
And you-
so folks that vote at multiple.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
good.
That we furnish them.
And
So
airport,
that would be
yeah,
huge.
airport, if they were gonna vote at the airport, Miriam Moore is probably less than a mile and a half from the airport, I'm not sure.
Okay. So,
Somewhere here, very more.
Miriam.
well, the
It's all
multimodal's
look-
already in the newly proposed, or, so you could simply,
Think about airport, Spring Valley Road, Nellie B,
but,
and you're
yeah,
practically at Miriam Moore.
but hold on. So, could you zoom out 1 second, Mary? Yeah, well, there we go. Beautiful. So this map assumes that we did not get rid of multimodal, right? So we need to take those people and put them in a new location. But there just happens to be a new location in the existing proposed
Area.
line, correct? So that's like a no-brainer to just. So it's a net, well. Wait, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Hope, yeah, I mean, some semblance of the net will be able to take on what,
Right.
kind of whatever Lisa tells us that it can hold.
We're basically,
Please,
we're
staff,
basically,
what do you think about it?
yeah.
You talking about moving 4,000 people to Miriam Moore?
Ish.
That
Now-
might be a lot.
What about the adjacent community center, just mirror what you do at Lake Park? It's literally the same building.
Adjacent community center?
So there's very more here, and then there's,
Yeah.
Big Atlanta.
what is
What
that?
I'm saying is, okay, let's talk about not just the Miriam Moore Center, because everything is in the same complex, it's a complex.
Yeah,
It has a gym,
that's what I'm saying.
and it has they have the dance center over there. I don't know what the setup is, but somebody told me they got a bunch of space over there.
It's pretty
They
big
have a
space.
large room, but they're very careful about what happens on their floor that they use for the dance, for the rehearsals and stuff. Their main large room has a special floor in it for dance.
Could we get some kind of not permanent, but, padding that is not permanent to put over the floor?
I'm sure we could come up with some.
No,
Why
that would be a
not- why not
one-time,
the gym?
that would be a one-time expense. I would prefer the gym, you know, I don't
It
know.
would literally
It's,
be
you
a
know,
copy of what we do at Lake Park, is what
We
I'm
just
saying.
have to ask.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean,
are-
it's
are
still,
those those are city buildings, right? County buildings.
They may have a covering, but they may use it for something else. Because typically schools have a covering for their gym floor. I
but
think.
He's talking about the dance studio.
Yeah, but they have the space that we need.
I think, yes, but I think that the Marion Moore that we currently use is probably best because what Charlotte just said. It's been vetted as far as all the
All
things,
the things that we need.
but the gym is another possibility. And they have that little room off the lobby if the gym is not available. And then as a third option, those three come up empty,
And I was
the
saying
floor
that,
at the dance center.
I was saying that based on, taking some from a certain area, not taking all of what is assigned to multimodal right now, but a portion.
That would work.
Then we took a portion, then
Or then the others
you would
absorb them into the other
absorb
room.
them, or
I think
maybe
Ms. Tell,
something, maybe a building over there that's smaller that could accommodate them rather than the airport. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about 4,000, accommodating 4,000 people as opposed to accommodating maybe 15 or 2,000, then what you need gets smaller. But I'm not sure there's anything else over there to even do that. And then it will be absorption then.
I think, yeah, and also a point that Ms. Till made a while ago, maybe she just mentioned it to me. But if we can agree on that being a location, staff's expertise, particularly GIS staff, to kind of suggest the redistribution balance of.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
The board does not need
That's,
to get into the
that's
weeds
really in
that
the
much,
minutia of it.
Right.
but
Yeah,
the board should be involved in
just
suggesting
in the
a new
places.
location, and it sounds like we have general consensus on
Yeah,
the entire facility, community center,
look at
Marion
it.
Moore, the dance center,
Specifically, Miriam Moore.
whatever else is there, whatever party tent and the tennis court, I don't know, but that piece of county land, I think is what we should look into.
Consider it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we need any more info? It sounds like we need another work session. Just given all the kind of things that came up
I think
today,
we may need two.
yeah.
All right, now y'all
but
trying
it's-
to absorb my vacation.
Me too, all of us. GIS staff,
Oh,
is there any more work we can do today, do you think, or is it kind of shaking it all up for you here?
I think you've given us a good amount of information to work with.
Okay.
What I will ask is whether y'all have a timeline for kind of getting, I'm gonna put this wrong, but getting more serious about some of the locations y'all have identified that for which we need permission, i.e. the churches.
I mean, I'm just gonna speak for myself here, but provided the facilities themselves say, okay, we'd love to have you, fine by me.
Then we can turn it over to Director Soseby then.
Well, we do have some updates, I think that can be shared right now.
Let's do that in a second, if you don't mind. I was just gonna say, can we select another date for another work session while everyone's in the same room?
can we get it done before the 10th?
The 10th of May?
Yes, sir.
Is that our
I'm gonna be
next
like
meeting?
Casper, I'm gonna go shout.
Oh, you're going on it. Good. Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to see my grandbaby graduate.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, we need to get together.
But you know, y'all got 4 folks now, so I'm not a cog in the wheel.
The 9th, well, yeah, so, okay.
Well, according to the schedule or proposed tentative timeline, May, we are going to be holding public hearings in May, right? But it has to be soon.
Well, they can be pushed
Okay,
to later in the year.
okay.
Because the director knows the timeline we need to be on in
What
order to
about-
be in order with what we need to get it through on time.
Next Tuesday, how are people looking? 25th? Does that give you guys enough time to do what you need to do? No?
In Mary's direction?
She's shaking her head, so, okay.
I didn't have anything else to do.
I
I'd say
understand.
yes, but I got.
Well, you guys tell us what,
The 27th? We got the GIS conference.
Yeah.
Somebody does.
Both of us kind of do.
Yeah. Okay, what about the next week? The May 2nd?
3 o'clock?
It would,
That's when we're doing the site visit.
There is already a meeting in this room on that day.
on the 2nd? What about the
We
1st?
could probably make sure they're out by the.
Well, I was gonna suggest 4 o'clock. That way Adam can participate
Right,
more.
fully.
It makes it a little harder for me, but maybe I can meet in the middle at 3:30, but.
First at 4. You good, May the 1st?
Well,
What
the
about-
2nd is my preference. but-
Would it be 1 hour? Sure.
Is the day of the walkthrough.
We're not gonna get much done in an hour.
Well, that's the day of the walkthroughs, which could be done later if you're doing it at 3, right?
Room
The
4.
walkthroughs are happening in the morning.
Yeah, and then we'll have more info,
Well,
so that might
there's
be
one at
good.
12 and 1:30.
Right.
But this room is taken on the 2nd.
But it's only for a short meeting that Renee's holding, so we can move it to another space if it
Okay.
needs to.
So May 2nd at 4 o'clock?
You think an hour's enough?
Are you good? May 2nd at 4? I'm good, May.
It
4
gets
to 8.
dark at 7 now.
I mean, 4 to whenever we finish.
Okay.
You can call me whatever you
You
want.
know, we don't need-
Sure you do.
No,
Just kidding. May 2nd, 4 o'clock. How about that?
And then we'll have a report from, from the walkthroughs.
Are you gonna be able to do all of that in one day, Will? Go to the 2 walkthroughs and come to the meeting?
Girl, these folks done made my knee new, and I ain't got any replacement, okay?
All
I'm
right.
ready, I'm gonna tell y'all, I ain't running, but I'm fast walking now.
So, okay.
Okay. I have to keep
I'll stay as long as I can. I am here for them.
Get up there, mama, can't get up.
So, in the interest of leaving this room soon, can we go back to Lisa wanting to provide an update? Something that I cut you off on before, now that we got this on the calendar?
On the Village Avenue Baptist Church or what?
Okay.
That's it, May the 2nd.
So I gave you an update at your last meeting on Tuesday. There's not that much that has changed since then, except that I don't remember at that time we'd already had conversations with the vet school. Had we? Or we were waiting to hear back? Okay, so we had conversations with the vet school. It has to be approved by their hospital board and the final say is with their dean. So we're not sure how that's gonna go yet. Our contact is talking about a room that might be available to us, and that's what she's gonna propose to her board. But the final say is the board and the dean. So we're waiting to hear back from her. Village Avenue Baptist Church, that's the one that we have a walkthrough set for on the 2nd at, 12. And, then Winterville Community Center to take the place of 1A. We're gonna also do a walkthrough on that same day at 1:30.
The church you said was glad to have us there.
Yes, they're happy for us to come there. Pam also reached out to Forest Heights Baptist Church, to take the place of Oglethorpe, just in case we get more public comment or you guys decide to move on the public comment that we've gotten. And, to see if that might be a possibility to take the place of Oglethorpe. Cooperative Extension, we've talked to them about becoming an election day precinct and they are open and cooperative about that too. Cooperative Extension.
What a deal. All right.
Do we know, do we have any idea of dimensions on the room over at the vet school?
No, it was preliminary conversations, because
Yeah.
she said, I told them what we felt like we needed, she told me what their concerns were. like I said, mainly they have a lot more students that go over there every day than I realized. So they want to keep the voters away from the students as much as possible, so traffic flow concerns and away from the pets. Because they're, extremely, usually the pets that come there are extremely ill and they just don't want to have any problem with that. So she had a building that was on the edge of campus, she said, that she wanted to show us, that she thought would work well.
Sounds good.
We're just, looking up.
Oh, and the airport, we have confirmation from the airport, of course, that they're good to go, and we have more information from them. We just need to work out the electrical.
And we might not need them in the end.
Let's just
I think,
enter back in.
what Joseph was saying, you will, the reason there was those extra 4,000 voters was because, multimodal was left on the map inadvertently. So there were 4,000 or so voters that needed to go somewhere. That's why.
But if Marion Moore works out for the general facility, then,
They can go there.
or, most of them, if not some, shifted around. Okay.
Yeah, that's a shift.
We can try it removing multimodal wholesale and not replacing with anything, but I have a feeling you're gonna go bust on a lot more with the location.
Okay.
We'll try it.
The chair will entertain a motion to read into the rules. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Shirley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda are announcements.
Did,
Question?
Yeah.
did we, officially make plans for the next meeting, or just gonna put it on the agenda that'll be coming out? Is that?
I was gonna read it with the announcements as the
Okay.
next work session.
Okay, thank you.
Here. Okay. So next item on the agenda are announcements. The upcoming meetings are as follows: May 2nd at 4 PM. We will be at 2555 Lexington Road, which is this location. And then our regular monthly meeting will be on Tuesday, May 9th, 4:30 PM. We will be at 120 West Doherty Street. And if there are no final comments or questions, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay? Motion Ms. Tell, second Mr. Kadir. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
4:58 PM.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Sam. Director Sophie.